台湾的低薪问题持续引发讨论，不过呢，其中一个原因就是企业的销售力不足、业绩不振，甚至拓展国际市场失利，才会造成低薪的恶性循环。如何突破这低薪魔咒呢？让企业获利大幅提升？专家指出，很重要的就是提高销售力，同时留住顶尖的销售人员。来看到今天的关键对话。
关键时刻掌握关键对话。大家好，我是楚文。台湾的企业不断在思考如何才能够让获利持续的提升，而其实这中间有一个很重要的关键，就是销售力。我们今天就非常荣幸邀请到了全球最大的销售咨询顾问公司 MHI Global 首席执行长 Sam Reese 来接受我们的专访，一起来讨论到底如何才能够提升销售力。我们来欢迎 Sam。Hello, nice to meet you, Sam.
Nice to meet you, Ashley, and hello, everyone.
We know that the competition in the global market have become really fierce now, and Taiwan's industry face a lot of difficulties. So, according to your observation, what's the challenge that our Taiwan's industry facing, and how can we break through?
There's a lot of challenges, and I think as Taiwan tries to reduce their dependence on low-cost manufacturing, they've also got to be able to bring a different perspective to customers. Because to really bring value to clients, they expect different levels of discussions, really value creation discussions. The old days of just taking orders, telling customers that here's what you need and we'll take an order, those are done. Now customers expect you to work with them and co-create value. That means that you have to have much more sophisticated discussions and much more detailed knowledge of the customer to actually drive value. It's a big challenge for a lot of economies, but definitely a big challenge for Taiwan to move to a new way of managing customers.
And we know that if we want to catch the needs of our customers, the sales is take a lot of responsibility. So according to your observation, what's the change in selling?
So many changes in selling. I think one of the biggest one that just really is in front of everybody is that customers have so much more access to information. They know more about you often than many of your employees know about their own company. So because of that, customers are already well informed about what you do, your products, your pricing. And they expect now the salespeople to be able to create value by understanding the customer's specific needs. You know, not just basic needs, but really down to the detail of what drives the business. So it's just really different. Think the old days of selling, salespeople could show up and be experts in their product and expert in the price, and the customer thought that was enough. That's not enough anymore. They expect salespeople to be experts in their business, be able to help them drive their results. And sometimes that creates a situation where you need salespeople that are much more highly professional and highly skilled than the old days of selling.
But if an industry, they have a lot of customers in different fields, how can they find such sales that can manage all of it?
Great question. And sometimes, because you're right, it's a challenge to find great people. But I think it starts differently. I think it starts with, first, a real clear focus on the customer. What is the company trying to do with their customers? It starts with that, and then the company building a strategy around how they want to access their clients, the ways they really want to deal with their customers. It starts with that, and then you find people that go ahead and do this type of customer management plan that you've put in place. It doesn't start with people. It doesn't start with just great people. It starts with the company having a real strategy around how they want to satisfy customers, and then bringing in people that can comply to what they're trying to do around that strategy. It's very different.
So during this change of times, how can a leader do differently to fit this new trend?
Leaders have a big challenge right now. There's so many things going on in the world of business, and I think the first thing I like to tell leaders is that they really have to build an organization that's focused on what their customers want. Now, everybody nods their head and says, we're in business for customers, but they don't necessarily really mean that. And what I mean is that to really understand why you're winning business and why you're losing business, leaders need to really get their arms around that. Not just anecdotes, not just stories, but be detailed about why they're winning and why they're losing. You start with that kind of commitment to customers. And I think when leaders can do that, then they realize everything they do in their organization, whether it's changing compensation plans, whether it's changing organizational structure, hiring different people, they always have to be focused on how that impacts their customers. The old days of just being able to make changes and hope your customers are okay with it, those are no longer available anymore. People have to be really specific and have to be really focused on making sure their customers understand the value they're bringing to them.
But we know that the change in technology industry is really fast. So how can we do if the customer suddenly cut the orders? How can industries to react?
Yeah, and that happens, right? I mean, it's kind of this circle. If the customer's not successful, then you will not be successful. And that's what I think is so interesting about today, is that in today's selling world, is that you have to help your clients be successful. So if the customer is not getting orders, then you deserve to be penalized. That means you haven't helped them. But no matter what you're selling to a client, no matter what you're selling, if their business isn't successful, you will not be successful. And so what you find is you find companies realizing that they have to bring more value to these clients. Even if they're selling some small widget that doesn't seem strategic, they have to bring ideas to the client to help them move their product. Otherwise, they themselves are going to be hurt. And I think that's a really good example of why you need salespeople and people who really understand customers. They're really elevated in their skills. It's no longer just pushing product and hoping it works for you. I have to be able to be clear about helping you get real results. It's a big change.
And we know that Taiwan's industry also face a problem, that is their competitors from Japan and from China, from Korea, they poach our talents. So how can Taiwan's industry to avoid the outflow of talents?
It's a big challenge, in not just Taiwan, Japan. It's everywhere throughout the world with people trying to poach talent. And for me, I'm just a big believer that it comes back to the company's strategy around getting close to customers. And not that talent isn't important, it's extremely important. But what has to happen is you have to feel comfortable that your strategy is going to always attract other people to help you execute on that. If somebody leaves, we can't have that be a situation where there's a big hole in the business. It used to be that way. A great person would leave and now suddenly the company would be reeling. If there's a strategic way you think about getting close to customers, nobody is irreplaceable. Now, I say that, but at the same time, we have to make these environments great for top talent. And I'll talk specifically to salespeople. Salespeople, what they're looking for, the top people, is they're looking for opportunities to provide a lot of value. They're looking to be problem solvers. They want to be noticed. They don't want to be some insignificant order taker like the old days of selling. And if you can create that kind of environment while rewarding them, it's not really, even though salespeople are known to want compensation being really important, it's never first. They want to be respected. They want to make sure that they're able to provide value. And of course they want to be paid. But if you create that environment, people will stay.
And we know that you travel around the world and interview a lot of companies in the world. So according to your experience, what kind of crisis in the company or what kind of efforts a company do that make you the most impression?
And I think one of the things that I see that is so impressive is the top companies really make it a concerted effort to go after what I'll call must-win accounts. Companies that have an ideal fit for what they do, companies that will absolutely benefit. And they don't just hope those accounts do business with them. They put all of their resources on it. Top executive, CEO of the company, and they make sure that these ideal fit clients know that they'll do anything to make sure they're a great partner. So I see really good focus there. I think what I also see with some of the best companies is I see a lot of measurement now, much more than even 5 years ago. A lot of measurement to really understand what's working and what's not working. So some of the anecdotes that they hear that really can't be validated, those are pushed aside. There's a lot of data now to help them understand if they've really made a good decision or made a bad decision. And so I don't see them crippled by data. They don't have to see data every day, but they use that to help them directionally make decisions. And then final one is I would just see action. Action is what I see what the best companies do. They don't just talk, they do stuff. And even if they do stuff and it doesn't work, they adjust quickly. But they're always trying to take action and move forward.
Thank you, Sam. 其实企业到底要如何才能够提升销售力？刚刚 Sam 有跟我们分享了，很重要的关键就是要精确的掌握住客户的需求。只不过产业瞬息万变的时代，客户的需求也常常快速的变化，也因此企业的反应速度和执行力也影响了最后会不会成功的关键。